Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino Beer Review. Today you have the Rhino, and we're looking at a beer from the Black Donnellys. I have 7 beers from the Black Donnellys. We have 4 of them lined up here. And every one I basically have lined up here has something towards the story in its name, and the story being a historical story in Canada. In Canada's early years, it was in the 1800s, mid 1800s to late 1800s is where the story takes place in Canada. But the Donnellys were a family that emigrated to Canada, immigrated into Canada from Ireland. Right? They were called, there is a theory that they were called, there's 2 theories for why they could have been called the Black Donnellys. One, because they were a black stain on the township they were in, being that they were bad people to them, and 2, because they had a moniker in, not really a moniker, it was a title given to people. They were Blackfeet, and that apparently followed them to Canada as well when they left Ireland. And Blackfeet were Catholics that would not fight the English and Protestants and wanted to live in peace instead. And they got the moniker of Blackfeet. Things you just wouldn't have nowadays, right? So they came over to Canada, and they went to a township 15 kilometers northwest of London called Biddulph. This brewery is from Mitchell, Ontario. I don't know if Mitchell would be in the area that Biddulph was in. I don't know enough about that, but with the name Black Donnellys, possibly. There was TV shows, books, movies, a lot of stuff made about them. But they had a lot of fights with townspeople. One was a fight with the landowner, because the land they lived on, they were squatting on, and back in the 1800s, the Canadian courts actually defended squatters' rights quite often, and they ended up winning in court the north half of the land that they were squatting on. And then there was fights that broke out because of that. There was a murder of a man that was fighting one of the Donnellys, who got hit in the head with a fucking handspike, and died a few days later. There was lots of things that went on. There was rival stage. It's a gripping story. There was rival stagecoach fights where you would burn down people's barns, you would murder their horses, you would destroy their stagecoaches, because the Donnelly stagecoach was doing better than some other family stagecoaches. And then a peace society started at the Catholic Church, and during a peace society meeting, the preacher, the Reverend Father, well, he wouldn't be a reverend, he's Catholic, but the father was going off about his hatred for the Protestants, and the Donnellys stood up and said, "We will not be part of your church, your congregation anymore. Your hatred is too much. We will go to the church in London," because they were friends with Protestants, and again, they were Blackfeet. They didn't have that religious hatred for each other that to some extent still lives on to some people. In the end, they were all murdered. The whole family was, well, not the whole family. There is a couple people that are said to have survived. One of the sons survived, but the family was just massacred. And it's a really gripping story, a really interesting story. If you have Irish heritage, it's a really interesting story, because Biddulph had a lot of Irish Catholics in it, and it had some Irish Protestants in it. So it's a really gripping story about your heritage and your Canadian heritage and how things went down. Even though there was 2 trials and there was eyewitnesses, nobody was convicted for the murders because they were such a stain on the society, on the community. So it's a really, really intriguing thing, and now we've talked way too much about them. Let's get into a beer. So the first beer we're going to look at is Roman Line Lager. You know what? No, it's not. It's not going to be Roman Line Lager. The first beer we're going to look at is going to be this one. 1880 Milk Stout. It's not just a beer, it's a story. 5.2% alcohol by volume. Troubles Brewing. Black Donnellys Brewing Company Limited, 2740 Perth Road, 164 Rural Route 1, Mitchell, Ontario. Product of Canada. Brewed on premises. And the reason I'm going to go with this is 1880 is the year of the massacre April 1st and April 2nd, 1880 is the dates of the deaths of most. The story goes that February 3rd was supposed to be the massacre. That was the planned attack, and the Peace Society, which ended up calling itself at that time an offshoot of the Peace Society, started calling itself the Vigilante Society. They couldn't make up their minds on what to do or how to make it happen. So it didn't happen at that time, and it happened April 1st, and deaths were April 1st and April 2nd. But 1880, big year in Canadian history, and this story was held back for a long time. It was suppressed. It was suppressed because it was suppressed up until about 1995 when things really started coming out, and it was suppressed because of how many people in that area had ancestors that were involved in the situation. You ever notice that the Irish and a lot of other, it's a situation, or if you were part of the no, if you were part of the IRA versus versus English, it was the Troubles. We try not to. That society tries really hard not to actually admit that things are fucked up. It's the Troubles, the situations. So anyway, it looks right. It looks right. I mean, it is black as the black blood of the earth. The head was mocha. A little tiny bit of snap, crackle, pop sent out of the can. Oh, a beautiful sweetness to that. Beautiful sweetness. Beautiful dark roastiness. A little tiny bit of chocolate. Smells divine. Out of the glass. Oh yeah. Again, chocolate, coffee, roastiness. That beautiful sweetness that comes out. The lactic sweetness that comes with a milk stout. Beautiful, beautiful smelling beer. Slanche. Let's do this shit. Oh. Tattoo go line. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Oh, mon cretu. Which is I love you. Amen. Beautiful lactic sweetness that starts from the beginning and goes right to the end. A little bit of a charred wood and burnt coffee finish. That's where the bitterness is coming from on this. Up at the forefront, it's almost like you get coffee, you get chocolate, and you get that creaminess from the milk. So it's almost like a mocha double type of thing. It's really, really nice. Medium mouthfeel. Goes down so nice. Yeah. Beautiful beer. Out of 10, it's getting an 8.75. That is so close to a dance. So close to a dance. This was great. Thank you guys.